Good morning, Hope. Psalm 9 is our psalm for the day. It starts with To the Choir Master, according to Muth Libin, a psalm of David. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will recount all of your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and exult in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before your presence. For you have maintained my just cause. You have sat on the throne, giving righteous judgment. You have rebuked the nations. You have made the wicked perish. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. The name came to an end. The enemy came to an end in everlasting ruins. Their cities you rooted out. The very memory of them has perished. But the Lord sits enthroned forever. He has established his throne for justice, and he judges the world with righteousness. He judges the peoples with uprightness. The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those who know your name put their trust in you. For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Sing praises to the Lord who sits enthroned in Zion. Tell among the peoples his deeds. For he who avenges blood is mindful of them. He does not forget the cry of the afflicted. Be gracious to me, O Lord. See my affliction from those who hate me. O you who lift me up from the gates of death, that I may recount all your praises, that in the gates of the daughter of Zion I may rejoice in your salvation. The nations have sunk in the pit that they made. In the net that they hid, their own foot has been caught. The Lord has made himself known. He has executed judgment. The wicked are snared in the work of their own hands. The wicked shall return to Sheol, all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten, and the hope of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the nations be judged before you. Put them in fear, O Lord. Let the nations know they are but men. So far, I think this is the first true psalm of praise that we have in the book of Psalms. Up until this point, they haven't been. They speak to the praise, but they haven't been truly focused on that. Psalm 8 probably speaks to it a little bit, but this one is one of true worship. The whole psalm is praising God. And I think what we need to focus on or to consider this morning is notice what David is giving praise to God for. It's his justice. It's his judgment, which I think is doesn't quite fit with most of the praise that we hear on Christian radio, most of the praise that we hear in a lot of the big churches. You don't see people praising God for his judgment of people, for the justice that he delivers against them, that he will deliver against them. The first 12 verses is all about how God judges the nations, how he has delivered Israel from their enemies, and he has judged their enemies. He has caused them to perish. He's caused them to blot out their name from history. He has rebuked the nations. This is a key role of what God does. It's inherent to his holiness. And this is what he gets praised for. This is what David, a man after God's own heart, praises him. So the first 12 verses kind of focus on what God has done. The remaining verses 13 through 20 focus on what will happen, what God will do, and what will happen to the wicked. But I do want us to focus on verse 13 and 14. In verse 13, David says, be gracious or be merciful to me, O Lord. See, he's making this request not in anything that he feels like he deserves. He's not asking that God deliver him or deliver him from the gates of death because of anything of himself, but purely he's appealing to the mercy of God. He's resting this in the nature of the character of God, in his mercy. He recognizes who he is, kind of like what Psalm 8 talks about. Who is man that you would consider him? And so David, from that viewpoint, he's like, have mercy on me. I don't deserve to be delivered, but I'm going to appeal to you because I know you're a gracious, merciful God. And then in verse 14, he gives the reason for this. And I think verse 14 also gives us what is often referred to as the chief end of man. Like, why do we live? Why do we exist? Well, so that we can give praise to God, so that we can glorify him, that we can recount his praises. Can't do that and Sheol. So we ask God to deliver us, and that's what David is doing here. And then at the end, we have the final petition, the final request in verses 19 and 20, where David is just calling for Yahweh to come up and say, hey, don't let the nations prevail. Don't let them be judged before you. Let them know that they are men. And I think in this day and age, with an uncertain election coming up, with questionable men running for both parties, it's good to know that God is sovereign. God judges all men. God judges all unrighteousness. And so we can have faith in that. We can give praise in that. And we thank him for that. So pray that your day goes well. And then tomorrow will be Psalm 10. God bless.